Ladies and gentlemen, you are now listening to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. Cross the line in 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome again to the Talking Nonsense About Impact Wrestling podcast. My name is Geoff. This is episode 139, post-Rebellion and Impact on TV. This is my fourth time trying this. It's been a week from hell since my last time trying this. I hope the chat lights up. That's what I'm trying to get to work here, guys. This is the exciting part for me is obviously to see your guys' comments, to see your guys' chat, and to interact and have that. So for it not to be working is really a kick in the nads, but I am trying. Before I forget, I want to do a shout out and happy birthday to Gabriel Hart. I had missed out a week from hell, as I was just saying, in and out of the hospital, birthdays, things going on, and a lot more that I'm going to open up about as we continue and share with you guys all that, and it goes back to messing up. Hey, let's roll with it. I can't do it anymore. I can't wait anymore. We're past our mark, and we got a lot to get to, including Rebellion Roundup, Impact on TV, and depth charts, which I want to hit. So maybe it's just not meant to be with the chat, unfortunately. Have the pop-up here just in case you guys come through. All right. Let's get right into this, to Rebellion Roundup. I want to talk about Rebellion and the pay-per-view that was. Really cool for me. Had some people over that hadn't watched Impact on a regular, so really cool aspect to see that. Obviously for us as fans, was it the ideal setup, the ideal build-up? No, Josh's injury obviously put a little stink on it, if you will. Not stink, but stink. Obviously Macklin will nail it in his promo that, this sucks, but we're going to make the best of it. And they sure as hell did, man. I thought this was a really good pay-per-view. The Rebel Complex is amazing. Beautiful. What's going on, Millard? I can see you, buddy. And I appreciate the love. Can't get you on there for some reason. I'm trying my best, but technology. So if I'm interacting with people, it's like I'm talking to myself, guys. Bear with me. I wish I could fix it. But yeah, Rebel Complex was great. The crowd was great, and being in that building just makes everything look and sound better. So the more the merrier. Not only in Canada, but specifically the Rebel Complex. We're gonna start with Champagne Singh and Shira defeating Heath and Rhino, getting a win here, a much-needed win to develop that, keep building this tag division, which we'll get to at the end here. And with the foot on the rope, they win, but still, nonetheless, a dub. We get a gore after to pop the faces, and for the faces in the crowd, the faces and the fans in the crowd. Long week, guys. But good win there for them. We're going to move on to the Knockouts tag title. Coven defeating the Death Dolls with the three-handled, moss-covered family credenza. That's what I'm going to call it because that's what I know it as. But Taylor Wilde getting the pin there for her team. We're going to hit back-to-back tag team matches here and tag team titles matches. Millard saying the pay-per-view and the venue was amazing. I agree. But yeah, we're going to hit back-to-back tag team title matches, one obviously being on the countdown, if you will, and then the next being Ultimate X, being the first match on the main card. What I liked about this was, I said that Rebellion was going to be a launching point for what will be, kind of see where the divisions are and all that, which we will get to when we go over depth charts in just a moment. Or a long moment. There's my cat. He's making an appearance at least. But I thought this was good because it showcased the two tag teams in each division that are mainstays. In the next case, it's going to be ABC defeating Motor City Machine Guns. Motor City Machine Guns losing their strong titles. So coming out without. But what I love here, besides the matchup, and I won't talk too much about the matchup so we can keep this show moving. ABC. I said it, and I'm going to keep ringing that bell. I personally believe that the Bullet Club brand needs to be put out to pasture for at least a little bit. Let it heal, let it grow. I think Ace and Bay do make it cool, and that's why I don't think they need the Bullet Club. I think at some point it becomes always be cosplaying. And I think ABC works. Like I've said before, these guys are the Daniels and AJs, and that tag team was dope when they got together originally. And Ace and Bay don't need a crutch, I don't think. And I was so happy to see ABC be how they're defined from this point forward. Still can keep the Bullet Club going, but with the Bullet Club Gold and this and all that, pro wrestling, but Jesus, man, put it out to pasture. Next up was the Macklin promo that I already mentioned about this sucks, but whatever. Io joining, what's up, Io? Having trouble with the chat, obviously, but thanks for showing up, buddy. So we get Macklin and this sucks promo. Macklin, we'll talk about it on Impact on Access TV review as well, but just sounding the part, looking the part, saying the right things, developing. I know there was a lot of naysayers saying, is this guy ready for the main event picture? And I thought they did a damn good job of showcasing him despite the suck of the situation. And I like that. So next up is Santino, Hendry, and Dango. That team defeating the Design. It was a 3-on-4 matchup. And it didn't matter because Sammy's going to turn here. We get finally the culmination or the beginning of this arc with this storyline. He went through all the steps, but it was all to screw them over. We'll get to that. You know how I feel about that, but it was cool to see Santino there. Everyone feeling happy. With his kid in the crowd and getting to see the Cobra, the people I was with to pop for it. See 76 Philly there. What's going on? Macklin feels like a top guy to me. Promo in the ring. Glad to see you back, Geoff. Yeah, doing well, man. Glad to be back for this week. We'll be back May 28th as well, but I'll make sure to update you guys on what I'm doing in between. A lot of good things happening in between the suck, to be honest. And I wish we could show you guys on here. I don't know how to fix the chat right now. I'm sorry, guys. Lard saying they wear gold and black, so where they're aligning with Jay and Juice. I hope not. I just want that. I just want it to be dead. I'm going to be real. Sell your t-shirts. That's cool, but they don't need it. Gia is next with the Tommy Dreamer promo, and Tommy making a case, or after this, or stating his case that he's going away for a little bit. And I don't know if that's, real life or whatnot. And that's my only part on this that I just kind of... I'm all about having real points, pulling back the curtain just a little bit. But to get some meat on the bones for this Bully and Tommy feud, they went straight to the mother being sick multiple times. And I don't know if I'm becoming a softie or what it is, but it just wasn't necessary. It didn't sell us on it. It didn't make me, oh my God, more intrigued by this Hardcore War. It was Hardcore War. I was excited to see it for what it was. We'll get to that. After that, they're bringing back Last Rites matchup. I'm all for it. It's this coffin match. We all know what it is. The most memorable, I think. They said there was one prior 5 years ago, and I can't remember what it was, so I'm sure you guys will update me in the chat. But the one with Sting and Abyss being the one that sticks out with all the props and the podium and going through the casket. And it's funny because my cousin who was here actually mentioned that as well. He remembered that match pretty clearly, which was cool. But PCO is going to defeat Eddie Edwards here. Eddie accidentally kicking Lish. PCO then getting the choke slam after this. This is a great matchup here. I'll have my things with PCO that we'll get to as far as him being number one contender and stuff. But I love PCO. I've always defended PCO because I think, one, he's over no matter where he goes, especially going to be in Canada. But two, he's that lineage of character we've always had. Since the beginning, day one of TNA, they've always had something. If it was Abyss or whoever, insert person here. They've always had a out-of-this-world character. PCO fits that vibe. The presentation's awesome. Love PCO. And I've been saying for weeks that Monsters Ball, he needs to pick up something like that to be his, I don't say crutch, but for lack of better terms. But Last Rites, hey, make that your own, man. That'd be cool. But he's going to pick up the win here. And we're going to move on to the X Division title match. This is an elimination style. And I originally picked Jonathan Gresham to win this. Thought that maybe they moved Trey into the Myron Reed, hopefully coming in and do some, Filthy Rascals things. But when Gresham walked down, I said, shit, this dude's losing. We got another James Storm on our hands, guys. You could tell from a mile away when Jonathan Gresham's going to lose a match. I don't know, maybe it's me or looking too much into it, but he just has a different approach when it looks like when he comes to the ring. And I said, shit. And sure enough, he was the first one pinned here. Bailey after Meteora on Gresham, and then tights for Bailey, but Trey getting double win here. Trey putting in some work, getting some victories. I think I could kind of see where they're going with him next. But what I really like is, they're building this X division. These are 3 heavy hitters. This is Trey's second reign, and, really knocking it out of the park on this one, man. And it's cool that they're giving him the ball to roll with. We already know, the greatness of Gresham and Bailey. We know Trey as well. But there's a lot of still people who maybe aren't familiar or are still stuck in the fact that he looks like Ricochet for fuck's sake. I can't. Every comment I see, it's like, okay, they look similar. Okay. Anyways, yeah. So X Division looking great here. Excited about it. Excited about the potential Rascals. Io saying in there as well. Keep going on. We're gonna go to Hardcore War. I saw you guys say Killer Kelly's the MVP of it. I thought her and Masha really stuck out in this. Obviously, they're going to, but just chaos, man. All over the place. Good Hands still getting a place in this match, which I liked. But Team Dreamer is going to pick up the win here, put this feud to bed, to rest, and Tommy's going to take a break for a little bit, man. We'll see what happens there. But as far as, I don't think anyone can argue. And I think that's one of the things we have to make sure to mention is when you guys are always saying things about him, don't ever discredit the history, the dedication, the work he put into this profession, and then everything he does backstage for this company and on Busted Open. So let's give him some love, and obviously in a tough time, show him some love and send him some good vibes. But next up is Nick Aldis appearing. And if you guys have been rocking since episode 1 or maybe in between, it changed somewhere along the lines of, I can't remember what pay-per-view. Was it Slammiversary definitely came back, right? Maybe that was it. But, being a kid in a day oneer of this, you become protective, and Nick wasn't the night. We'll call him Magnus. Magnus wasn't the kindest on his way out or afterwards, and in some, I understand, in some cases, and for him to come out here, they obviously needed something to cover. One, bringing another main eventer, which we'll get to, is a plus. I don't want to get too far ahead of that. But to bring someone in to cover the ground while Josh isn't there, to be that foe for Magnus, for Macklin, which he seems to inevitably be that maybe Slammiversary carrot. I'm happy he's here. I'm gonna admit it, man. I had a turning point with him. Back a little bit when got to see what he's become and how he handles himself, and we'll talk about it when it comes to the impact on Access TV a little bit, but I'll say it right now. He's just, I don't know if Bully Ray's the right terminology, but I use that a lot, or that analogy of Bully Ray. When he comes on TV, when he grabs a mic, he's just a different a level. He's a different point of attention that you want to focus on, and I think Nick handles himself well. I'm excited to see what Aldis can do, not Magnus. But we'll keep moving on. So big get here, man. And kudos to Impact as well, because I think we expect on these live shows, we always expect something big to happen. And then when we see some, it's just a great pay-per-view, we're somewhat disappointed. But they seem to always throw in something that doesn't disappoint. If it was Gresham signing one, was that announced on there? Or no, maybe it was on Impact. But obviously Aldis here, and then Kazarian last. So bringing in some back old TNA guys and doing it to pop some pay-per-views, making exciting moments. Love this. And he's on commentary, and he's doing well. I love that they put the world title match here because, like I said in the beginning, still excited to see it. still ready to crown Macklin, which is what happens, and it was the right decision. I know people kept Kushida and the crowd not behind Macklin. Well, the crowd's not supposed to be behind Macklin. He's been shitting on the Canadian flag for the past couple weeks prior, and the country. So, it's one of those things where the true fans want to applaud him, but, he's also the heel. But it was definitely the right move. Invest in your young people, your foundation pieces that are going to stick with the company, and it looks like Macklin's, one of those pieces. And I thought they did it a great service by putting it in that second, main event. The main event of Jordynne and Deonna is something I thought should have been main evented as soon as we found it all this out, even with Mickie not being it. These two, Jordynne and Deonna, are main eventers. Not just knockout main eventers, they're main eventers. And I see you guys talking about it in there. Millard mentioning not really pushing Gresham. Has that something to do with Jordynne leaving and not knowing if he would stay? It depends on. I would like to think that that's not the case. That they're going to be professional about it, take care of them, even because we don't. It's a multi-year contract for him. I mean, 2 years, and we just got him. I don't think you do that to someone, an investment you just put in. Plus, where's he going to go? Back to ROH? Not that he's not talented. My love for Gresham, but I don't know. We'll get to Jordynne in just a moment. But, yeah, man, he wins with a super KIA here, man. I loved it. Went straight from the hoverboard lock into it. Great moment. I thought they had a great match. One of my things about Macklin, and, obviously, we had to work on promos. He's worked on that. He's got to work on matches. He's worked on that. He's got to work on character. He's worked on that. He just keeps upping and upping his game, and I think he's ready for it, man. And this match really showed that, obviously having a ring general in there like Kushida helps the cause, but Macklin definitely held his own, and I thought this was good shit. Now afterwards, he's going to demand Scott give him his belt. He eventually pushes around Scott, and that's where Nick makes the save. But a lot of Scott going on here, and we'll talk about an impact on Access TV as well. It just seems like it's going to lead to something else, right? Too much Canada talk, too much Scott, too much having a DOA on top of a president. Just think everything's aligned for some stuff to go on here. But happy to have Macklin as our champion. Next, they announce that August 20th in Philadelphia, For Whom the Bell Tolls, we have Multiverse United 2. This is an awesome sign. Not that we thought Impact and New Japan's relationship was on the outs whatsoever, even if they're doing stuff with AEW or any of it. It just doesn't matter. But what's great about this is by this time, obviously, Ospreay will be healed. So we'll finally get that match. Will we get some other things? There's a lot of people playing Fantasy Booker, and I'm not talking us not us trolls, us fans and the trolls, but also the wrestlers themselves, man. A lot of Impact talent talking about they want to face Mercedes or they want to face this person or so on. So excited to see, and if nothing ever that large, say Mercedes or whatever, comes out of it, at least that hype's there. At least there's going to be some really good stuff, and they have a lot of time to build. Io right there, perfect timing, buddy. Build the multiverse, big matches, give it time to marinate. Last but not least is the world title match, KO world title, and Deonna Purrazzo is going to defeat Jordynne Grace in a banger. Well, it looks like it's working here on the chat feed. No, that thing keeps popping up, but I see you guys. Yeah, bastards. Not you guys are bastards. this Twitch is bastards. All right. Anyways, she wins with the Queen's Gambit. They exchange. It's a hard-fought victory. Thought this was a great way to end it. It ends it with respect as well. And the age of Virtuosa begins again, or the era, depending on who's saying it. So overall, I thought this was a great pay-per-view, guys. I thought it was a A-, B+, somewhere in there. Great to set the ball rolling and see where we're going to go next. And we'll hit that. We're going to run right into that and go on to Impact on Access TV. But what did you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments. If you obviously, unfortunately, can't see in the chat there, guys. Hope to get that fixed by May 28th. The only one little thing I do want to say, and I noticed this at the pay-per-view, not so much on Access TV, but the camera cuts. It looks like we're staying with a cut for way too long before we get away, and then we miss the move. I feel like that's becoming a more repetitive thing. Something to keep an eye on. I'm sure they'll fix it. All right. Wish I could just click that login and make it work. All right. We're going to go into Impact on Access TV. I'm going to keep us rolling. Once again, I'll make sure I timestamp this in case you're overhearing about Rebellion or you want to know where the hell what we're talking about. Because Impact on Access TV is a little bit of a weird or a shorter show as well. Shorter moments, longer segments. Less segments, longer segments. There we go. Whatever. But first, we always start with BTI. I'm going to start there with Iceman Intel. Rumor that there's eyes on Macklin. Okay. Heath and Rhino are going to get back a win here, get back in the win column as they face Jack Price and Shogun. Good to see Jack Price and Shogun on TV. Jack Price been a more regular mainstay of BTI lately. I like Jack Price. He's the black diamond in the rough, if you will. He's the love child of the old diamonds in the rough. Shogun, man, I like his work. I like his ability to sell. I believe him in the ring. I really enjoy him. I do not like the gimmick. There's so much going on. And if Impact invests in this kid, man, I guess, I think they could do something really good with him. I just don't think that gimmick is it. But either way, they're going to take the L here. Heath and Rhino getting back in the win column with a gore. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go straight into, after an opening package, we're going to start Impact on Access TV. Io making a great point. All gut check guys on the show Thursday. That's awesome. We're going to start off with a 25-minute banger right here. Almost nearly 25 minutes. Time Machine picking up the victory over the X Division guys, which is really cool. I always like that dynamic. It's something they used to do back in the day. You get a tag team or a group that could play in the X Division facing a group of X Division guys who are in the title picture. I enjoy that. Trey, his ego getting in the way here. Cradle Shock's going to do a 1, 2, 3 from Sabin to Trey. So maybe heading that way to Under Siege. Maybe Sabin versus Trey. Trey needs some more people to line up for him for the X Division title. And, I think this is great. I love Kushida and I love Motor City. Motor City obviously could be in the tag, in the thick of things with the tag division all the time, and I'd be okay with it. Kushida, look, I said this to someone online who was pushing for Kushida should have won, but he's a New Japan guy, so he's unsigned by us. He is on the other side of 40, which means nothing anymore. I get, but it was the time to put it on Macklin, and it was the time to thank Kushida. He was there for Multiverse. That's where the match was supposed to happen. He got put into this one, killed it. But now it's time to put him into something else. And that X division, the tag team division, even the DMT, man, go for it. Kushida's legit and he's great. And I love him on television, but that world title picture wasn't where I was seeing him. So I'm happy to see them back here, starting off the show hot and getting a win over the X division. Guys, maybe this gets him in that path. Next up, Gia's with Santino. And he is talking from time to times. He might wrestle, but he's the DOA. That's his job. And as soon as he's saying that, he's got complaining people coming left and right, starting with Lish first and foremost. Lish, I love this, man. I love her getting something to play with, something to develop her and get her on screen each week. Perfect, obviously, pairing with Eddie. Oh, I wonder who thought that one up. But yeah, obviously the chemistry is going to be there. They look the part together. And we're going to see her in a little bit because she's going to have an impromptu match brought to her by Santino. But I love the nagging, like the finger in your face, little Lish kind of thing. I think it works for her really well. Swinger and Dice are going to come in next. And Swinger and Dice are talking about they want a match. The road to 50 continues. And they're going to pay for a luchador to come into town, pay for his hotel, pay for his accommodations and pay for him to wrestle Swinger. Did we get any info on who that is? It's probably Sangriento if I had to guess. But yeah, that was a segment. Next up was a video package for Deonna, the New Age of Virtuosa. Love this. I see you guys talking about Macklin and Deonna interaction on the show since everyone knows they're married. Do you think Impact could get more pressing about it? Look, they're two great entities on their own. Deonna, who needs to get back in the swing of things, of being the man, if you will. Macklin just now becoming the man. So I don't want them together. I know they keep mentioning that they're, not supposed to acknowledge it, and I just don't think it does anything for the character to acknowledge it. Look, at the end of the day, this isn't UFC. This isn't, real life. This is a show. This is a television show, and to suspend the disbelief, I'm okay with it. I don't believe PCO was resurrected by Vincent. So it's okay to suspend disbelief sometimes, and to have two segments taken up separately by two great people together in relationships or not, I think that's better than having them together and having one power couple. Now, do I think that's where they're going with, Mickey and Aldis and Deonna and Macklin? It's possible, but if it is, I hope it's a one-off kind of Under Siege. It won't be at Under Siege, but one of those Impact Plus specials, not one of the big-time pay-per-views. So as we continue here, we're going to get Alisha. She is facing the former Triple H, Terrorizing. Still haven't looked it up, but I swear that was his first gimmick, Terrorizing or something like that. But she's going to face an aggressive Alisha Edwards. I love this for Lish. She's going to win with an X Factor. Shout out to X-Pac. And then she's going to beat her down afterwards. So this is a couple weeks of seeing Terrorizing here, man. Great look. Has the part. Or has the gear. Seems to handle herself well in the ring. Could she be another signing for Impact? I'm still looking for people to fill that tag division, and we'll get to that. But the beatdown's going to continue, and then Jody Threat comes out. I love Jody Threat. Has a very ODB vibe. When Peach comes out, people are excited. She could do whatever. She's entertaining. But I want to jump ahead because we're going to go to Macklin's door, which, okay. I to be honest, TNA used to do this all this time. I can't stand this stuff. You put a sticky note on the thing that says Macklin. You get a couple guys in $5 Michaels t-shirts that are camouflage. I can't look. Hide, accentuate what you guys can. If the budget's low, hide those things. I just didn't. Yeah. Anyways, but continuing, Jody Threat is gonna talk on the staircase with Tara, and she's gonna talk about I fought you last week in my debut match, and she shouldn't have done this to you, and whatever. I'm gonna tell you the truth, guys. This was a Drizzlin' Shits promo, and I know it's gonna take time for her to get used to being on camera, used to getting on a mic, used to delivering promos and lines. It's not natural. It isn't. It's nothing against her. I think the world of her, and she's going to be great from what I've seen, and the fact that, of course, Josh trained her when she's between those ropes. She's going to hold her own. But maybe this is one of those people, and I'll mention that in the depth charts, that we can kind of work into a tag to let her find her footing. Let her find her ground. There's a lot of people in that Knockouts division that can give Deonna the run for their money. Let's build Jody. I think this is a good way to do it. Once again, if they don't, I think she's still killer. But a tag team, I think, wouldn't hurt the cause to start this off. Next up is Moose with Brian Myers, and Moose is going to pick up the win over Yuya Uemura here. He's with Gujar. Like seeing Gujar out there with Yuya, kind of a young guys kind of thing, which I dig. I can't say enough about Yuya, not only what it means for our relationship with New Japan to keep treating him right and let him shine from Black Trunks to now Super Saiyan Bobby Roode, Team Canada, and beyond. This kid's a super talent. He will be their ace. long term. And just like with Ishimori, just like Sonata, these are the little seeds you plant now, or when they're there, you treat them with respect. You learn from the past. You treat them with respect. You showcase them the best you can. You please your partners. And then when this kid is an ace and does choose to go back to Impact to say thank you or whatever, it'll be a nice reward, man. And Yuya's no different here. I think the world of this kid, man. But he's going to lose. In a hard-fought victory, or hard-fought loss and victory for Moose, though. Moose getting the win. Moose on the winning track here. Happy birthday to Moose. This match was good, Moose and Yuya. I agree. The Moose's booking's up and down, and I think that's for a reason. He hasn't re-signed, or at least hasn't been announced. I hope he stays. If you want to go back on the channel, look for Stay Moose Stay. We made that 2 years ago, I believe it was, and I mean that now too. I understand if he doesn't. I get the temptation of that big money or that last big run or whatever you want it, but he is a foundation piece. He is Impact to me, and I hope he stays. Continuing on, we get a little surprise, man. Jimmy Jacobs making an appearance here. Jimmy Jacobs doing a backstage. I thought it looked good to present Nick Aldis for his first interview since coming in. And he hit all the right notes, man. This is what I was trying to get to, but not too much say earlier about, Nick's redemption tour, if you want. He had a little bit of that with me before. And this promo just made me more interested in what he's going to do. He hit all the things I would want him to do if I was maybe sour on how he exited. And I thought this was a great job of showcasing why he was there, his past of being here, maybe with a nod to what he said in the past about the place, about going through the fire and shitty gimmicks and all this stuff, man. So I thought this was well done, from Jimmy to Nick. It hit all the right notes, and it was important to have that moment. Next up, speaking of TNAIWers that have come back more recently, Frankie Kazarian's going to have a 2-on-1 match. He's going to be facing the Good Hands. This is one of those things where you see it on paper. It's like, okay, maybe they're going to bring someone out here so the Good Hands don't look as weak. Honestly, even with the loss here, Kazarian going to be pick up the win over Skylar with a chicken wing. The Good Hands didn't look worse for wear here, man. I know it's an L, but the more and more these guys gel, and the more I get to see them utilize their cohesiveness that they're building. I'm going to talk about that in a couple other teams. Next up, cohesiveness. Building cohesiveness with these tag teams. And the Good Hands picking up the L regardless of that. Probably because they're wearing the wine and gold. Those calves. Those calves always picking up. No, Cavs are a good team, but change your trunks to blue and orange. Maybe you'll get a win, Good Hands, but nonetheless, they lose here. I like the Good Hands. Glad they got some mic time in the beginning. Instant heat anytime Skylar's on the mic. And Frankie, fitting Frankie in, he wasn't something they planned on coming in, man. He was here for us a little bit. He ended up getting granted his release and coming in, and they're working him in there. Kind of like Gresham as well. But I'm happy to have Frankie back and showcasing him here and showcasing the Good Hands in a different way too, man. It doesn't always have to be a W to get gain. It doesn't always have to be, a victory between the ropes to be a gain for a team. And what I'm about to talk about next really quickly is an example of that. Because you have the Coven here and they're looking like the Brood. They got their glasses. There's candles everywhere. Such a simple setup. But not only in the ring were they gelling prior to Rebellion and more lately, these two, just like the Death Dolls, are putting their feet. I know they're the champions, so of course they're putting their feet in and running with this tag team division. But it feels like Kylan King and Taylor Wilde have made a decision to say, hey, we're putting everything else aside, ego, whatever it may be, because there's some that plays into that with people. It's inevitable. But we're going to put all our effort into being a great tag team. And I think they're doing that, man. And it comes across even in the cohesion and the chemistry in these little promos. I thought this was an awesome little promo. Showed some character. Kylan King, I know everyone's like, oh, they're just going to throw her. Well, sometimes you just need to throw someone into something. Get their feet wet. Build them and get them comfortable, and then eventually do that split, and you can make up who Kylan King is for now, from their point forward. But for now, I like what they're doing here, man. And her and Taylor Wilde have some killer chemistry. And, you know, they're talking about something new. Who's going to be next? Is it new tag teams coming in? I don't know. But we know that Taylor is going to be getting a Knockouts title match next week against Deanna. So she'll be Challenger 1. But I really love this segment for multiple different reasons. I thought it was nicely done, and kudos to Kylan. Just seems like a natural, by the way. Obviously, Taylor's been in the game forever, but Kylan is just a natural as far as delivering those lines and stuff, man. Thought it was good shit. Next, we're going to get a loading screen, and the Death Machine is back. He had a plan. He had a wink. He's telling you... Am I frozen? There we go. What a week, guys. So I don't know what came in, but I'll say it again. Sammy had a plan. He had a wink. He had everything. This was all a setup for the design to teach them a lesson. You know, I'll see where this goes. I love Sammy the Death Machine. I hope this, gives him some kind of shot in the arm to keep him going. But I still think they need to do something with the design, and maybe Sammy's that person to bring it on of him now that he's on that opposite side. Millard saying, Jeff, do you think the reason they put the Coven together because they couldn't or didn't want to sign the Hex? I hope the Hex comes back. Yeah, the Hex is an interesting case. One, I think, both that team has to want to stay as well. I think the contracts have to line up to what Impact wants to give. And also, I think a big thing with Impact and once again, planting seeds, like I said, with Yuya and all these people, is they're playing the long game here. I don't think they're going to bend over backwards to sign someone who might not be a great fit for the locker room. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but they have really good chemistry back there for what it seems and what everyone says, and everyone has the same mindset. I'm not saying the Hex don't have that mindset. I'm just saying I could see Impact being more particular after giving these people tryouts like Anthony Green and Steph DeLander and Hex and all these people, if you want to call it a tryout. And then saying, all right, well, doesn't match up for everything we want. Maybe we'll talk down the road. No harm, no foul, no burn bridges. Let's see where we go. I think they'd be another interesting tag team. I think they bring something already cohesive. But maybe it speaks to a larger picture. I don't know. There's a lot of Tessa stuff going on, man. I know Luch will be happy about that. But she's doing a redemption tour, trying to get on the right track of things. And if you had to choose about bringing Hex back or, if that isn't settled, bringing Tessa back, what do you choose? But we'll see. Once again, bygones are bygones. Same with Nick Aldis. The same could be with Sienna or Allison Kay. Anything can be worked out with maturity, time, and money. But moving on to next up, we're going to get a DMC match. The digital media title is on the line. Sheldon Jean is back. I like Sheldon Jean, man. Now he's a Canadian. I think it'd be a cool vibe to add to the new Team Canada. He's got a great size. He's obviously newer in the game. Had some touring with Noah. They definitely spotted. There's my cat again. Spotlighting his time with Big Brother. For me, it just feels like, you remember when Jesse Goddard was the big celebrity boyfriend of Tara, and everyone's like, and I love Jesse Goddard, but that felt the same thing. Like, how many times are we going to mention this in one segment? This is going to be his thing, that he was the guy from Big Brother. I don't give a shit. I want to see what he could do between the ropes. And yep, Jesse was on Big Brother as well. But yeah, not digging that. But I'm digging him in general. And he's going to face Hendry here. He's going to lose in a standing ovation. The match, the crowd's a little bit torn in between. Crowd interesting here. Let me know, guys, if anyone was there. Let me know if this is just a Monday Blues thing, but because even in that 25-minute opening matchup, which I thought was a banger, the crowd was sitting on their hands a little bit burnt out. Was it a main event of a long taping? What's going on here? Because this isn't the Rebel, and that's not the Canada I know. But the crowd here is split between Sheldon Jean a little bit, between Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry getting the victory. The one comparison I wanted to make, guys, because, I've been up and down with Hendry as far as Jesse Goddard's is a superstar in OVW. Yeah, man. Good for him. Love Jesse, man. Love the bromance, to be honest. But, I think Shira's a star there, too. So, with Joe Hendry, it's not been an up and down relate. I want him to succeed. He is succeeding. He is... definitely representing that title well. The belt looks great on him. He's a great DMT champion? DMT champion? I don't know, whatever. You guys get what I'm saying. But my thing was always the oversaturation, the too much comedy. If the comedy doesn't hit, there's so many variables. But I think they're smoothing out the edges. They give him a little bit of, they get the song, he gets to do the thing, gets a little mic time prior, it's short and sweet. And then he gets into his match and wrestle. Kind of like Macklin, where we said, he needs to this and this and this and just, slightly keep elevating. I think he is, man. He looks great right now. You could tell he's taking his body legit. He's got, obviously the comedy down. He's got the look and the camera work down. It's just that next for me is, can anyone say that, man, that was a Joe Hendry banger? Or a classic. I don't think we've seen that yet. And that's that next step for me, because that's what that title represents. And I think there's two ways to the world title, X Division and that. And, I think he's holding his own. I want to see those next. I want him to start seeing some ring general from Joe Hendry. But who am I? Just a mark. Anywho. But the comparison I want to make is he's got the comedy. He's got the blue. He's got the blonde hair. A little Anderson-ish, right? I don't want to put that on him because Anderson, and I love Anderson, but he has a ceiling. I don't think Joe Hendry does. He has the size, he has the look, he has the talent. I want to see him reach his potential. Last but not least, we're going to end it off with this changing of the guard ceremony. America bad, Canada good. That's the gist of this. So whatever. I see where we're going here, but he's going to call out Scott, and they're going to do a long tease of Scott being the one that challenges him because Macklin only wants to face a Canadian when he's in Canada. He's working heel here, obviously, Macklin. But he's so damn good on the mic here that it almost makes you want to root for him. And maybe that's just me as a fan of Impact seeing this guy just continuously since he debuted up his game. And be like, okay, he's got it. Like I said, he's got to do this, got to do that. And now see him to, handle himself against Scott, who's a pro on the mic as well, in my opinion. It is really damn good. And if I'm cheering for him as a heel or wanting to see him as heel, how good is that anti-hero heel going to be when they finally do that switch? I think it's inevitable. I think it needs to happen. And with him, compared to like Josh, where we wanted that heel turn so he could be, Team Canada heel, whatever. In Canada, was it going to work? Probably not. We'll probably see a face Team Canada. But with Macklin, that little twist from heel to anti-hero is going to be a really cool moment that I think a lot of people are going to be behind. And it's going to make that title reign last as long as it really can. It's going to get as much juice out of it as it can. So I'm excited for that. But as he says, first, Millard said Macklin is our anti-hero. They're pushing to be our Stone Cold eventually. Yeah, I agree. I said he was the ringmaster for the longest time. And, will he reach the level of Stone Cold? I mean, that's such giant shoes to fill, and I doubt we're going to have any Monday Night Wars anytime soon. But as far as character and as far as what he will represent and when his music hits and when he comes out and he's swinging that belt around, this dude is going to be something that the fans bite into. And I'm here for that. I'm waiting. I'm being patient. I'm ready for the ride. I think it's going to be a while till we get there, especially with it looks like we're heading for Aldis versus Macklin at Slammiversary, I imagine. And the only reason I say that is because Scott kept saying, oh, you're ducking Aldis, and so that's obviously the long draw. But here, Scott's going to tease and then eventually lets him know that the Canadian he will be fighting at Under Siege is PCO. And, you know, PCO picking up some big win, or a big win at Rebellion, so I get this. They need a Canadian here, so I get this. But I always have the first one up, he's going to lose anyways kind of feel about the first challenger. It's always a hard spot to be. Obviously, PCO doesn't have a chance here, at least in my mind. I hope not. Nothing against PCO, but we want the rise of Macklin to continue. But, this is going to be a really true test to that next step for Macklin that I want to see. The same as I was saying with Hendry. Can he become a ring general? Look, PCO is a vet. He's smart. He knows how to pick his spots and do all that, but there's no crutch of a Last Rites, a Monsters Ball, or anything like that. And don't get me wrong, he's had some bangers without those. But let's call a match, let's call a spade a spade. I was saying PCO and Macklin had a brutal match last time they fought. This should be good. I'm hoping so. And I want it to be. Of course I do. But I want to see Macklin make this so. I want Macklin to make that step up. I want him to be in control of the ring and take his time and be deliberate and knock it out of the park. And I think he will. So it's a good test for him all around. And as far as a good first stop on his world title tour, he's so far so good for Macklin, man. I enjoyed this episode. It was a weird one because of, the big 25-minute block. And then, of course, when they film all these episodes, they're going to, extend all the segments as much as they can. But I thought it was a good episode. And I want to keep this within an hour or so. Will Macklin shine or stand out? This match is the question. Will he against PCO? The odds are not in his favor of him standing out. But I think if they book this right and he, they give them great, I don't want to say spots. I hate saying shit like that. But making it, they just got to tell a good story. And then in between, that Macklin's got to play to the crowd and do a bunch of things that get, the crowd. Now, granted, the crowd will already be on PCO's side, but he's got to play major heel here. But I want to get into the next thing, because I see you guys talking about Aldis hasn't signed a contract, he's on a PPA deal, and so on. Yeah, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about Jordynne. I want to talk about a bunch of things. Include, and we'll do that on the depth chart in just a second. But I do want to say, really cool to see D'Lo Brown and Alisha Flash, a.k.a. Raisha Saeed, a.k.a. Cheerleader Melissa, a.k.a. I can't remember a Lucha Underground name, Maripol? No. Either way, both backstage being producers, it was said, for agents for this last taping. So that's cool, man. Love to D'Lo Brown. Love to Alyssa Flash and her zipper. But cool to see them and have some familiar faces around. Not me personally see, but you know what I mean. All right, guys. I'm going to move into... I don't have a light up for this. Oh, I do have a light up for this. Hey, depth charts. There we go. So we're going to bring in this depth chart board, guys. Once again, if you're rocking with me, I appreciate Mariposa. Hey, Millard coming in clutch. I want to thank you. We're going to hit up depth charts. I'll say goodbyes, all that stuff. Catch you up on what's next for this channel and for myself a little bit. But with depth charts, I thought this was the easiest way we can do it. Kind of look at the title picture, talk about things, and go from there. And I'm going to start with the tag team depth because we've already talked about that a little bit. With me, there's two clear-cut tag teams that you can say, hey, they could go in a best of 7, swap the belts, and people would say, okay, that makes sense. And right now, I think that's Motor City and ABC, and Coven and Death Dolls. Is that what we want? No, we want more, right? There's obviously at least 2 spaces blank there for each. I personally believe with 86 minutes of television, 4 title contenders, including the champion, is a damn good amount. And I don't mean tag teams in general. There's going to be more than that. We have the good hands, but do you see them being contenders tomorrow? No. Decay, I want to add them here, but Are they on a path right now to where they can be viable tag team champions tomorrow? No. If given, the time and feud and all that, I was saying feuds can cover lack of depth in my opinion. They can, but I think feuds can also fix the lack of depth. And if they were to start feuding Decay or the Design or insert person here, I think we can get some more. Do I have some lists here? I do. That helps. Heath and Rhino are always there. Do we want them back in the tag division? I think they're one of those groups, Heath and Rhino, that can always be what PCO right now is at Under Siege. Good little feud. You get them, they get in the mix of things, but they don't win. That's where I see them right now. Then you got Raj and Shira, Good Hands in the Design, which I think are still in that same group of just they need some depth, they need some story, they need some wins, they need some cohesion and chemistry. Keep building on that. And then I think Decay's the third one that really sticks out to say, like, the gimmick's there, we're familiar with them, the entrance is there, everything's about the crowds behind them. They could definitely be that third team if given the right feud, the right time, and the right, story. And of course, if you bring the Rascals back, there's another one. But right now, them are the two I have locked in that I could say are that. And obviously, the tag team, Knockouts tag team titles are in that same realm. It says there's more coming. We'll see. We mentioned some that we would like to possibly be. But what I would really like to see, including, we have Giselle and Savannah, which could be that Heath and Rhino per se, of that, they're in the mix, but not on the regular gold, or maybe they could if they put the money into Giselle and Savannah, but I think they keep pushing Giselle as a singles. I think Jody Threat being with somebody, maybe a Masha, which I mentioned before. I don't think the Terra Rising and her pairing makes sense. And I know Jody Threat's going for Alisha right now, so I'm not saying that's the next step, but I wouldn't mind it. Bring these people in like they brought in Kylan. Bring in someone who can stand by a vet, establish a tag team for a little bit, and then when contracts run up or some things change or someone in the singles knockouts division wants to take a step into the tag division or is chosen to, they could step out and have that feud with the tag team they're in and then move on. Similar saying maybe Killer Kelly and Jody. Yeah, I think Killer Kelly from in the ring to entrance to the crowd reaction, she's a star on her own. Not saying Jody couldn't be, but she's, fresh in the game. They put investment a little bit into Killer Kelly to where she could come out and handle. And Masha's in a weird place, man. I thought it was because of Mercedes. Maybe it was, but it was definitely about Mickey being the last rodeo in that shtick. But I don't know the relationship or what they're doing with her. I don't know if they see writing on the wall or what. But I think Masha and Jody fit really well and that's something the tag division, Knockouts tag division, has not had, which is, two badass women going out there. And I mean badass, I mean punch you in the face and and don't take shit. And I think that matchup works really well. Killer Kelly could work too. And obviously the Red's in play for all three, but and I do want to mention the thing with Decay as well. And I forgot to mention this. Having Black Taurus in that division would be really cool, because when you have Motor City Machine Guns, Ace and Bay, the two things, or the one thing they have in common is stature. They're both smaller, on the smaller end. Both can hold their own. They're very talented. Size means nothing. Okay. But to have Black Taurus in there and add a different dynamic, I think that'd be really cool. Mars, I don't think they would put her with Masha because she's a heel and Jody seems like a baby face. Yeah, things change though. Things can change. All it takes is one instance for that to change. So anything can happen. Let's go on though. What do you guys think? I see you guys kind of on the same division. Decay, give them Truce some gold. I like that, man, and them being the next one. It's already, unlike the Coven, which they did a great job of quickly building and forming a gimmick to. Decay's been there. We know the gimmick. It works. Let's get it going. And then of course Su Yung still has to return. And I don't know if you pair her, you split up the Death Dolls or not. I hope not, unless they have another one for Rosemary or someone else for Rosemary to go with, because I want more tag teams, not divide and have less. But Su Yung and somebody. Is it Havoc? Is it Rosemary? Or is it someone else we haven't seen yet? I'm all for it. But let's get these people who are coming back or just being introduced, give them something to do if they're not going to be in the world title picture, and I think that's important. Let's go on to those mid belts, if you will. I don't mean mid in the new terminology. I mean, these are where I think both you can you go from these and you can go two different paths to the world DMC. I think they're building a little more towards that, which I love. But you got Trey, Bailey, and Gresham definitely be in the thick of things there. They're really establishing them. The fourth person, look, I left it blank because there's so many people who can step into this. You have Time Machine, all three of them, as I mentioned. You can have Kushida, which obviously I just mentioned that. You got Yuya and Angels, who could be that next crop that needs to, come up with. You got Kaz, Swan, Ace, and Bay, who are all former champions who can fit in there obviously easily if you need them to be there. And I think that fits with the DMC as well. But Hendry, let me get to that first. X Division, also Taurus and Crazy Steve. There's so many people that could fit that division, but right now to have these three be the mainstays, I think it's good for branding. I think it's good for defining that division and the legacy as well, because we talk about it, all the killer names that have been in that division. So I like this a lot for them being the three mains. Laredo Kid, another one. Build up Laredo Kid. Glad to see. Oh, yeah, that happened since shout out to Laredo Kid. Happy to see him back, healthy, looking great, picking up a win last in his first match back. And then also, yeah, he could definitely add some juice to that division as well. So a lot of options there. X Division not in a. Once again, it's I think as Io said, it's not. It's just feuds that could fix the lack of depth. So you build a Laredo Kid, he could fit right in there. But it looks like Trey is going to keep Sabin, maybe Trey and Sabin. The DMC, I put Hendry and Myers because that seems to be the two that I can say back and forth feud. I could see that and it making sense. Are there a lot of people I could put there? Oh, hell yeah, I already mentioned a bunch. I think Kazarian fits there. I think Sammy fits there better than he does in World because Sammy doesn't really need a title, but it makes sense if you're going to keep him, fighting for one. It'd be cool in this division as well. And same goes with Kaz. And I would have said Kenny King had he not said that ROH shit where he seems like he's on the outs already. But those guys that you want to start prepping for the world title picture. So I would like some of those guys there as well. But Moose is playing around there, but you'll see in just a second. I'm actually going to get to that right now. That Moose just fits perfectly in that world title. This is the first time we did the Impact Zone, Max and I, for a little bit. We play around with the depth charts and stuff. But this is the first time where easily could fill the world title pictures for both divisions. I don't think anyone would bat an eye. And maybe the Aldis one is whatever, but he's a former champion. Macklin, Alexander, Moose, and Aldis. That is a pretty damn good main event scene. I agree with Io. The contendership is lit, man. I think that's, and that's been the one big thing is, who could we get in here to be this? Look, they built them on their own. They built Josh and Macklin. They built Moose more or less, but Moose already had a following. But Moose, Moose is Moose. He's a superstar. And then Aldis coming back, another good grab. And then once again, even though I mentioned Sammy and you can mention Eddie and Rich and that crop who have held the belts before, but can, make a little push if you need them. A little above that under siege level, like I'm saying, where you throw someone in there, but still could contend and be believable. You have Kaz and I said Kenny King, but those people who haven't had their taste yet that could come up as well. So there are a lot of people really in this world title picture. I think a big part of this is Moose being there still. If he resigns, I'm going to knock on wood when he resigns, he needs to be right back in the thick of things. He is a main event player. He is another level. And as far as the KO title, man, with Deonna being back in there, Mickey, I imagine, coming back and still being around. Jordynne, we'll have to see. And then Tasha. I put Tasha. I know you can put Masha, but at least Tasha is well, I guess we're going to have Jordynne versus Masha this coming week. So maybe Masha getting back in the thick of things. Once again, I'm not going to argue with you. We could have added a fifth. We probably could add in a sixth in the KO title. So in a good place. Now, to answer the question about Nick not being signed permanently, obviously it does nothing for me as far as being locked up. One of those things like, this is our guy. But at the same time, it would be nice to say that the guy they're saying the ink is dry on and he's going to be in the main event feud on a regular basis has some pen on paper, some ink on, put some ink to the paper. Would they come out and say that and take the chance that this falls through? I don't think so. But crazier shit has happened, right? And then as far as Jordynne, man, to clear that up, I don't think they'll ever take it out on Gresham unless Gresham comes to the ring telling you he's going to lose before he loses. And maybe that's just my own theory there. But, look, Jordynne is going to be a hot commodity. I understand why. WWE is on a hiring freeze to the best of our knowledge. So where would you say? Would it be AEW? Would they allow her to have the time to still do her bodybuilding things? I think so. They're supposedly going to brand split, so they're going to need more people, which they already have an insane amount of roster. But do you see your friends go there? Do you see your husband go there and how he was treated or from his point of view? Do you go there? I'm not saying that means she's lock and bag going to stay with Impact, but I hope to God she does. She is someone I've been talking about for weeks before I knew her contract was up, of being an amazing ambassador for the company. Someone you do need to keep around, who always mentions Impact, who does other things and gets herself highlighted, but also Impact in the process. I hope they throw the bag at her. She's one of those people that they've built. She's built herself, obviously, as well. But put time and effort into the machine, putting it behind Jordynne, and she's knocked it way out of the park. I personally would like to say I see her staying as well, just because, and it's not the husband thing. I just think, looking at the options there, but it also matters what's important to her and if Impact lines up with that. I don't know. But are you guys happy to see that, there isn't, and maybe, you guys are questioning some of the 8 I put there, but I think the world title picture is lock and key, man. And I'm happy to say that. And this is without including people like, where people were mentioning like Masha and Killer Kelly and Giselle they're working their way up. Great place to be, guys. Excited. Obviously we could see what we want to see more of or developed more in the next month. Obviously be back May 28th after Under Siege to see if any of this comes to fruition or if they developed any more or if we could change it up. So make sure you hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you would like to see change maybe in the depth charts or who you think deserves a chance or whatever it may be. Once again, I do this to interact with you guys, to talk with you guys, to boost my morale, and you guys always never fail me. So I appreciate you. And Impact as well. I want to touch on what's going to happen next week. Deonna versus Taylor Wilde. You got Jordynne versus Masha. You got Design versus ABC. And is that all that's announced so far? I think that's all that's announced so far. So we'll see what else comes out of it. Is that Luchador and Johnny Swinger thing going to happen? But yeah, guys, looking forward to the month ahead. Looking forward to Under Siege and what develops in the meantime. It's gonna be hard not to keep in touch and talk about this on the regular. Maybe I'll tweet out a little bit if I have some energy and time. But I want to thank you guys for sticking with it, coming in. Sorry about the chat. I apologize. I definitely will figure that out, I hope. If you guys are watching this on YouTube or anything in between, make sure you go check out Rangers of Wrestling on YouTube as well. That's where the Go-Go Power Ranking show will be from this Tuesday until we get back in the thick of things. Trying to get Talking Bloody Nonsense going again. Going to keep doing this on a monthly basis until I can, we'll see. But I want to thank you guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Keep it up. Keep showing the team love. IO on Twitter. And look forward to talking to you guys about the future of Impact and seeing what goes on. 76 Philly, looking forward to the next show after Under Siege. Me too, buddy. Maybe we'll have some guests. I'm trying to work it out. Obviously, technical things are kind of do a lot of hindering with the process, but we'll get it going. The other thing I want to mention, guys, I'm not going to go into too much detail now. As I said, thank you before, and I'll continue to say thank you for helping me build my confidence in talking to you guys, even when shit's hitting the fan or I'm sucking balls, for lack of better terms. You guys always are there to be honest and boost that confidence and my morale, and I love you and I thank you, especially with everything going on. Thank you, Millard. You guys are awesome. But I do have some things I will let you guys in on that I've been working on for the longest time. I kind of let you guys in as far as my screenwriting history and still doing that. But I've been working hard this past year, working on a couple TV shows to get in development, a movie, a stand-up thing, which has been my passion for the longest of times. Until you guys couldn't do it. So thank you. And with everything going on, I do have to do some things that bring funds in as well. So I might do some content that could cast a bigger net a little bit here and there, just to maybe on Patreon or something to get the ball rolling on that. But either way, I'll keep you guys updated on what I'm doing. I hope you guys are along for the ride, no matter where it takes us. But if not, you guys will see me at least here May 28th. I'll give you updates in the process. Make sure you add me at Ready to Believe You on Twitter. Ghostbusters reference for any nerds like me. Don't want this to end because it's a month after this, but I thank you again. Happy belated birthday again to Gabriel Hart. And happy birthday to Moose today. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. God bless and good night. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.